Oh, what it is, people. What it is. Welcome to your Sunday night. Sorry, thought it was Saturday for a second there. Sunday night, 7 p.m. You love to see it. Episode 130 of the Pucknologists here on Teal Town, USA. It was another bad week, folks, so we just have to dive right in. Joining me tonight, of course, Rocket Backhander. How are you?
56 game preseason.
Oh,
Everything is great.
put it on a
AJ.
t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt. And
Somebody will.
Hockey Jerk.
So the Sharks won 0 out of a possible 3 games this week, which means that this podcast will either be 25 minutes or 125 minutes. Your choice.
You are not wrong, sir. Speaking of shirts, let's see what you're rocking tonight. Oh, still supporting it. Gotta love
it. Take it off. Take it off.
Gotta love it. So, anywho, remember to subscribe to us on the YouTube channel while you're here, please. And follow us on our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Discord, whatever. I'm sure we're on all of them. And if we're not, we will be soon. If you listen on Spotify or iTunes, iHeart, whatever, do us a favor, drop a subscribe and a review in there. We would appreciate that. And you can find social media links and more down below in the description. And if you'd ever like to support the show, you can use the Super Chat option when we're live, or better yet, send a little something our way in the tip jar on Venmo at Tealtown, USA. So this time around, kids, again, not the greatest week. Not the greatest week. We're going to talk goal values, a potential upcoming battle between the city of San Jose and the Sharks, and ask the question, have you had enough Patrick Marleau yet? But first, let's get into the Sharks games this week. A week where the Sharks played 3 games and took 1 of a possible 6 points after the previous week taking 0 of a possible 8. Currently on an 8-game losing streak, 1 regulation win in their last 10 games, somehow still 6th in the West after 47 games played, and right now 6 points out of a playoff spot with 9 left to play. 3 games this week, 2 versus Vegas, 1 versus Minnesota, as we said, all losses. Let's start with the first one, 3-2 loss and shootout. Again, I don't care. Jones was in net. Line blenders in full effect. Marleau breaks Howe's record. Teams wearing Marleau hoodies and gear, which was probably the most exciting thing that happened all week. The Sharks score the first 2 goals, cough up 2 power plays to Mark Stone, losing the shootout. They go 0 for 2 on the power play. They let in, well, like I said, 2 from Mark Stone, so they only killed 3 of 5. That's it. Just a shitty game. Rocket, your take.
All right, I have notes on this. Hold on a second. Confucius says, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And they all got up and skated off that ice.
Hockey Jerk.
I actually thought this game started well. I mean, up 2-0 to get things rolling. Nikolai Knyzhov, with a grade 3 goal, and obviously Noah Gregor with a grade 2 goal, which are both very good. And if you're wondering what the hell that means, stick around. But as you said, I mean, the Golden Knights power play, specifically Mark Stone, basically came and said, okay, watch this. It was Stone from Theodore and Pacioretty, and then Stone from Pacioretty and Theodore. Gives you an idea of who was hot for them
a little bit
on this particular night. A little bit. So, yeah, 3 players that Vegas didn't draft in the expansion draft, which makes you think. Although Shea Theodore was technically acquired at the expansion draft. Point being, Vegas was able to do what the Sharks have rarely been able to do this year, which is shake off the cobwebs when they're down 2-0, get a couple power play goals, and end up winning the game. And you know what? Do you think Vegas cares that they gave up a point to the Sharks? Not particularly. They've won 9 in a row, and the Pacific Division Championship is just waiting to be handed to them. Aside from that, I mean, not really. After Noah Gregor's goal to start the second period, it was all pretty much off the rails. I mean, the face-offs were kind of close. Maybe that's a silver lining. But, the fourth line, Donato, Leonard, Yoel Shellman, I mean, all three of them under 10 minutes. Say what you want about how they're playing, but I feel like in a game, where you're close, the score is close, you should be wanting to roll all four lines, especially, that line I thought played well when they got thrown together. So I don't really know how they ended up with so few minutes on ice. Meanwhile, Evander Kane's at just about 23 minutes, which to be expected. I mean, he's been the best forward this season, but still, like, spread it around. You know what I mean? Get everybody buzzing.
Well, the one thing that I still take away from this game is the fact that early in the game, Shellman drills White Cloud. That's a call. 2 minutes. Go feel shame. And then later in the game, McNabb drills Couture with almost the exact same hit. No call. Nothing. We're fine. The inconsistency is so maddening some days. But we move on to the second game. 5-2 loss. Goals from Meyer and Hurdle. Same lineup as the previous, but Kozanash gets the start. Marleau's 900th straight game because, it was Marleau week. Timo from Shellman early into this, first 2.5. And, nice to see Timo score. It's been a hot minute. Of course, he's also been a hell of a turnover machine. And the story for me on this one, Burns was pissed off from the get-go, particularly at Pacioretty. What was going on this? But Burns seemed like a man possessed, Rocket.
Yeah, he really was in a mood, if you will. I don't know if maybe the game prior, Pacioretty had done something that was just it's unacceptable, or if it was something very early on that it was a precedent that needed to be set. But it was definitely out of character for Burns, I felt.
Well, and I think, whether or not this precipitated it, your guess is as good as mine. But I know early in the season series, Pacioretty had a pretty suspect hit on Logan Couture, and then I think in a following game, I think those two were beaking each other a little bit. So I'm wondering if it's just a situation where Burns is like, we're gonna cut the bullshit early on. But you look at the score, and we talk about this every time the Sharks play Vegas. Like Vegas, when Vegas sees the schedule, ooh, we got the Sharks coming up. Like they're licking their chops, they're tapping their fingers together because they know all they have to do is get the Sharks distracted, and it's over and done with. You know what I mean? This game, last game, Sharks are up 2-0 to start. This game, they're up 2-1 to start, and even go back. The last games that were in Vegas against this team, Sharks have a lead, and Vegas says, all right, we gotta distract them a bit, dangle the carrot in front of them, and they let it get away from them again.
Assholes.
You know what I mean? And the Sharks, you look at the record, the Sharks are, I don't know regulation versus overtime, but for simplistic sakes, 0-8 against Vegas this year. I'd be curious to know how many of those games the Sharks were leading at one point.
Wouldn't it be 0-7? Because they still have one left against Vegas at the end of the season.
Do they? I don't know, dude. They all run together.
Yeah, they do.
You're right. 0-7. You're correct. But, I can tell you, 3 of them, they were leading to start.
Oh, no. I'm with you.
It's not good.
Let's hit
Power play bad again.
Let's hit John in the super chat. Thank you so much for your donation, John. AJ, as you pointed out yesterday, Jones has reverted to form the moment Dubnyk, his competition, left. And
I don't think we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to talk about that in just a little bit. My notes on this one, they were just funny notes because at this point I'm just looking for anything because I know they're not going to win. I have no hope. I remember in this one, Meyer lost his footing as Theodore kind of nudged him, and so Theo got this weak call against him, but that didn't stop morons from saying, oh, what a flopper Meyer is. And it's like, clearly you weren't paying attention. Carlson took a soft hooking call. Just some soft calls. But again, Stone would score a power play goal. It seemed to be a recurring theme this week. But it's amazing that this team has a Norris-winning defenseman for a general manager, a defenseman for a coach, the NHL's most expensive defense, and somehow are so bad on the defensive side of the puck. And you allow,
is palpable.
Oh, I'm telling you, and you allow 40 shots on goal on your rookie tender in his second start.
You want to know something even better?
Whip it
Yes.
out.
So between, as you mentioned, defenseman as a GM, defenseman as a coach, most expensive blue line in the NHL, add all that together, yes,
Sure.
combined
0 cups.
well, whatever, but combined 4 Norris trophies.
Jesus Christ. Dude, that hurts. As Jark pointed out, VGK 7-0 versus San Jose, and in this game they would, of course, clinch a playoff spot with this win. That's so Sharks. Finally, a 5-3 loss versus Minnesota. This time, it really was a rotation on the bottom 6 this week. This time, Blickfeld is in for Shellman. Pattering comes in for Shimmick. Jones gets back into the paint, and it lasted for about 19 seconds, people. That was the goal. Bugner even calling out, saying it was a horrible goal. They allowed 2 more before the end of the first, and then Jones gets yanked for the 8th time this season, and for the 3rd time in his last 6 starts.
I think it's also worth mentioning that, and I want to say Shang pointed this out on the Twitter. Martin Jones set a personal best for times pulled in a single season. And friends, let's remember, this is a shortened season. If this was a real season, like a full season, we would be halfway done. Just be glad that the year the Sharks are ass, it's a shortened season.
Dude, you are not wrong. You are so, because he's averaging basically getting pulled once every 4th start.
They were ass last year.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we'll get to that too.
Hey, you know what though?
You gotta have 2 cheeks to make a whole ass.
Silver lining here, AJ. I know you'll enjoy this. 100% on the power play in this game. They went 0 for 0.
Yep. And that, funny you say that, because I have that on my notes. And I'm like, you're playing a team that is playing their 2nd night of back-to-backs. Like, they played LA the night before. So they're on the road back-to-backs, and they can't even do enough to draw a goddamn penalty.
And that's the other thing that's weird, too, because they dominated in the faceoff circle. They dominated at blocking shots. I don't know how this game got away from them.
The defense.
Well, it was because of all that emotion that was spent during the first 15 minutes watching the Marleau presentation.
Dude, eat my ass. Like, seriously. Like, it was... Dude, don't get me wrong. It was a nice video. Really nice video. But, like how many times are they going to let this poor bastard down?
Dude, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Dude, eyes on your own paper.
At Patrick Marleau's funeral...
Oh, Jesus.
He's going to have this year's team lower the casket so that they can let him down one more time.
Yeah, I saw it coming.
And then they're going to raise a banner.
Yeah. Games played, leader, and yeah, I don't.
Well, I will say this was a game that Bugner seemed to really, during the postgame, kind of intimate, like he's not going to come out and straight say it because, Chief wants a paycheck for the next couple of years. But let's just say, you tell me, okay? Bugner's words, just listen, and we'll get into it afterwards.
You have an influx of players coming and going. Sometimes those things are going to happen, but it's a tough time of year to have that happen. And we knew, going into the game that, there's no secret. Look at their lineup, look at our lineup, and we're missing a little depth there. And it got us early. Let's be honest. I mean, the 2nd and 3rd goal, that's where it got us. You look at Vegas's lineup in the last 2 games against ours. You look at Minnesota's. It's a lot of things that got to go right to get to get a win, get back on track, and get some points. And it starts from goaltending. It starts from the giveaways to the defensive plays away from the puck, and of course special teams.
So what I'm hearing is Bugner basically saying, look, our team isn't good enough to compete. Who puts together the team? It's not me.
Doug.
Yeah. It's he's saying we lack the depth. we need a lot of things to go right in order for us to win. That is, to me, Bugner saying, yeah, we don't have enough.
Yeah, well, and this is not the first time in recent memory that this has happened either. I can recall specifically because I was at the game that this all started. You guys remember those 2 or 3 game stretch where Tim Heed played right wing on the fourth line?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Holy crap, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're like, and say what you want about Tim Heed, but pretty good on the offensive side of the puck, I would say. Like, the fact that he's, moonlighting as a fourth liner, I think tells you everything you need to know.
Ugh. Well, look, I will say the funny thing is that during the post game, somebody, I want to say it was Jesse Pierce, but somebody from the Minnesota media asked about Jones, and they're like, it's difficult, of course. 19 seconds in, lets in 3 goals on 8 shots. Is this an off night for him? And I'm like, off night? It's the 3rd time in 6 starts. This is not a bug. This is a feature. What are you talking about? He's 33 starts. He's been pulled 8 times. That's 24%. Since Dubnyk was traded, Jones has started 6 and has been pulled in half of them. In those 6 games, he posted a 789, pulled. Posted an 810, posted an 833. Then he threw up a 792, pulled. Then out of nowhere, the game against the second one against Vegas, a 950 and still lost. And then a 625 pulled. So the thing that gets me is that there's some, analytics person off to the side going, no, he's still over 800. We can keep him in. Once that first number turns into a 7, yeah, fuck it, get the hook.
Well, it's just like that scene in Fight Club where he explains the mathematics necessary in order to trigger a recall. Same thing. Same process.
It's just like, we saw. So this season. It's the 3rd season that Jones has been bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 years, those whispers of a Jones buyout come out, and it's like, well, okay, hold on, because that first season maybe it's a weird fluky time, and then that second season, COVID, blah blah blah, whatever. Now. Like I said, this time, these buyout whispers, they're already happening. We've talked about it weeks at a time, and I'm really hoping that this time around it actually happens and there's not another justification that sort of falls out of the sky on why a buyout needs to be held off on. Because, I think haters will say, oh, it's a flat cap environment and no revenue and blah, blah, blah. But you don't offer to spend more money at the trade deadline unless you have it. So with that same logic in mind, a buyout I don't think should be something that's like super taboo at this point or in question because of the lack of revenue coming through. Like, clearly money's not an issue, so I say just do it. It's a pretty tame buyout, relatively speaking. Just do it.
Well, you have to do something, because if you don't and you roll him out there yet again next season,
what's the point?
Well, what's the point? But the whole idea of like, look, you're going to be playing 3 consecutive seasons with essentially the same guys. I mean, what's the difference between the roster this season and last season? Essentially, no jumbo. But everything else is kind of the same.
I think certain players have actually taken positive steps compared to last season.
Yeah. One of those would not be Marcus Sorensen.
No. But, like, I don't think it's total disaster. Like, I think there are some, like, I look at.
My point is that they're not bringing, they didn't bring in a difference maker, and I don't think they're going to have something next year either.
No, you're right. And like I said, you look, I point to Kane, Ferraro, Knizhov, Gambrell, LeBanc. These are guys who upped their game, but the guys who downed their game, it cancels out all the positivity that was generated. Like, Martin Jones, who was brutal last year is somehow worse.
Yeah. Well, it's just that idea of like, look, you can put racing tires on a jalopy. It ain't going to make the car go any faster. I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
So, look, final notes on the 3 games. The Sharks took the lead in both VGK games, could not hold it. The defensive choices have just been staggeringly bad, specifically Šimić and Vlasic. Bugner, again, in multiple media calls this week, has kind of passively, aggressively said, this is Doug Wilson's fault. Look, and then, of course, the Sharks helped both Vegas and Minnesota lock up their playoff spots. And then we talked about the power play for a hot second there. But in 12 games played so far this month, the Sharks' power play is 2 for 33. And one of those came in a 5-1 loss to the Ducks. So that one that you did get, scored by none other than Patrick Marleau, but that one that you did get, not a real difference maker. The other one came in garbage time versus the Kings, who had a 4-1 lead at the time. That was scored by Timo. But the other thing that's kind of just gets you right in the cherries, 2 for 33 over this time. During that same time, they also had 2 shorthanded goals. So it's like up 1 man, down 1 man. Doesn't matter. We're going to score 2 goals.
That's all.
So Jerk's favorite time of the show, of course, 47 games. The Sharks are 18, 24, and 5. Good for 41 points. At this time last season, 21, 22, and 4. Good for 46 points. So 5 points worse than last season. They have to go. It's going to be significant. There's 9 games left, right? 4 versus Colorado. Yeah, 4 versus Colorado, 4 versus Arizona, 1 versus VGK. So, of course, the 2 questions are, will they get 11 points over the next 9 games, which I think they pretty much need to get in order to beat their total from last season? And that would be a minimum of 5-3-1. That's basically they need to sweep Arizona and get, 1 more out of Colorado or the Vegas game.
So I crunched the math here. So the Sharks, they've got, as you said, AJ, they've got 41 points in 47 games. If you extrapolate that over a 70-game season, because that's what the Sharks had last year, yes, that would put them, that same pace would put them at 61 points in 70 games. And for reference, last year they had 63 points in 70 games. So my hypothesis, if you will, as you said, it's in doubt. But I'm
Stranger
optimistic.
things have happened. Stranger things have happened.
So we'll see. We'll see.
To me, if they lose against Arizona tomorrow, it's over. Like all hope is gone.
And when you say it, what are you referring? Are you referring to being better than last year?
Being better than last year, making the playoffs.
Dude, that was over 2 weeks ago.
Dude, again, stranger things have happened. If they were to sweep Arizona, who isn't exactly lighting the world on fire right now.
Well, they've been tumbling lately.
Yeah. So Arizona has 8 left. Half of them are against San Jose. They have 2 against Vegas. No easy road to hoe. And two versus LA, maybe a little easier. But 4 at home, 4 on the road. But those 4 against San Jose, if San Jose has any hope in hell of making the playoffs, they have to sweep Arizona.
Yeah.
That's literally the only way they can pull it off. Now, conversely, St. Louis, of course, in the mix, but they have 3 games in hand. They have 11 left, 1 versus Colorado, but here's the one that gets you in the smalls, 5 versus Minnesota, 2 versus Vegas. But those 3 games they have in hand, those just happen to be 2 versus Anaheim and 1 versus LA.
Oh my God, those are nearly gimmies.
Yeah. So
it's a shame. It's a shame that our final 8 games on the season aren't all against St. Louis.
No shit, right? So the Sharks, they host 2 must-win games against the Coyotes coming up, and then back-to-backs with Colorado. To put it all in perspective real quickly, again, the Coyotes currently 4th in the division, 1 point ahead of St. Louis. Again, Blues 3 games in hand on the Desert Dogs. The Coyotes only 3 wins in their last 10 games, but against San Jose this season, they are 3-0-1. Yikes. Now, following the Yotes, the Sharks traveled to Colorado for back-to-backs against the Avalanche, currently second in the division, 4 points behind Vegas. The Avs, 8-2-0 in their last 10. And the thing that really gets you, they've only lost 4 times at home. And their record versus San Jose this season is 3-1-0. And 2 of those wins were shutouts.
Well, so here's the thing. So
what it is.
you're breaking it down here as, the Sharks, they're looking up at Arizona and St. Louis. Well, the
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but something else to consider, a puff of my smoke, if you will. LA is 1 point behind them and has 2 games in hand.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
This really could come down to like the last, couple of days.
No, dude, it's exactly what I said at the beginning of the year. All 56 games are against your division, which means it is easier to tumble down the standings, but it's also easier to catch up. Every game is a, 4-point game, as they say, you know what I mean? So it's like, even like Anaheim is dog crap this year, but they're not out of it because the rest of their games this season are against the division.
Well, no, I thought Anaheim was mathematically eliminated. Have they not?
No, they actually, you know what? I believe you are correct. If not already, they are very close to. But
Never mind.
Point still stands. They should have probably been out of it weeks ago.
Jesus. Quick one in the chat from TC Smith. Is Couture playing hurt? Yes.
I'll say probably.
Yeah. I would say without a doubt. Chiefs banged up. He's taken a lot of punishment this season.
You like what I said there? A puff of my smoke?
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
So once the Sharks are mathematically eliminated, do we think Kozanash finishes the majority of the remaining games then?
Dude, I would put Jones on the frickin' taxi squad.
Well, I mean, in a roundabout way, that's kind of answering my question.
Yeah, and Jones fans will say, well, what if we lose him to waivers?
Bye.
I don't think you have to. Well, no, I don't think you need to worry about that.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, hold this live grenade for me. Like,
well,
some GM is gonna get talked into it. Doug will talk him into it.
no, not without throwing a lot of other things their way.
Rocket, I seriously thought last summer that Ottawa would somehow get talked into it.
Ottawa?
Because, like, at the time, cap floor team, need a starting goalie. I'm like, this totally has it written all over it, But I think you're right. I think there's probably one GM out there who's kind of, giving it the horse eye and is sort of like, well, and maybe we can do something here. But
There's
I
a
would
little
doubt
voice
it.
in his head whispering, "If you build it, they will come." Yeah.
Want to bet? All right. Let's move into who's not, the contract performance version of the game.
Hold on. Did you just say who's not?
I might have.
No, you
know
did.
Did I?
I thought you did that on purpose.
Well,
They're so bad. It's just one category.
yeah, that's yeah, man. See, sometimes I crack myself up and I don't even know. That is the perfect description for it. So playing up to their contract this season, I've got a few names. I would say Kane played value for his contract this season. Knizhov, Ferraro, LeBanc, Balsers, and Gambrell. Those are the guys I would say that, yes, when you look at what they're paid, what they brought to the table this season, I would say, yeah, they made their money. Is there anybody I'm missing on that list?
I would say Matt Nieto if he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, no, that's a good pull.
And again, he didn't 7 points in 28 games. Like, that doesn't really jump off the page at you. But fourth line guy, kills penalties. I think $700,000. I was not really a fan of Nieto his first tour around because it was like, oh, he's going to score all these points and he does this, this, this. When it's like, no, he's a bottom six guy who kills penalties. And now that he knows his role, it's like, yeah, I'm down with it. I'm down with the sickness, as they say. So I would throw Matt Nieto's name in that hat. But other than that, I mean, it's slim pickings, as you alluded to. Not really a lot to pick from.
Well,
but I think too, it's good to identify, because when things are poor like they are right now, it's easy to just say everything is bad and we need to go full scorched earth. But I think it's good to, even if they're small positives, I think it's good to identify positives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like I said, those 7 or 8 guys you mentioned, full marks. As they say, they had their guy.
Yeah. No laps need to be taken. On the no side, I think we can start with Martin Jones. Definitely not making his money.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know too many people that would continue to pay you. I forget. I think it was our buddy Chester Chivo who said, if you got a gig, working 33 days and you were sent home early 8 of them because you sucked, chances are you wouldn't have that gig for very long. But Martin Jones, of course. Next up, Erik Karlsson. I don't think Chief, Burns playing a little bit better than him, at least points-wise. But I also have on my list not making their money this year, Timo Meier, Mark-Edouard Vlasic, Marcus Sorensen, and I may get pushback on this, but I also have Šimić and Donato on my list. And let me tell you why I have Donato before the people all lose their shit.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, Donato was pushed as like, this is going to be like the second line guy. This is going to be a guy who solidifies the top 6. And since then, like he had a decent, he had a pretty good start. And what have we seen? We've seen Balsers get moved up the ladder quicker. We've seen Leonard get more ice time than him. And recently we saw Donato get booted off the power play. So I think, for expectations, it's kind of the same thing back in the day when, Bodker was like penciled in to be that top 6 guy and failed miserably. And I'm not saying Donato failed like Bodker, but either way, not what we were sold for expectations.
No.
Let me, if I can argue the other side of that. So
no, you may not.
No, you make very good points. You're correct. Donato was going to. There were questions. Oh, we only have 4 top 6 forwards. Who's going to step up? And it became very clear early on it was going to be Donato. Like you said, he started well, but when those predictions were made about Donato, it wasn't known that John Leonard was going to make the team. It wasn't known that Rudy Balsers was going to come back. Those aren't really excuses, but just kind of saying like things change and whatever.
Well, and that's the thing is if both those guys weren't here, Donato probably is in the top 6 just because of lack of choice.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, and then, you say, and you're correct. You say, not meeting expectations in terms of the skill. I'm with you there. Mm-hmm. Not meeting expectations in terms of what we all wanted. Again, I'm with you there. But I look at Ryan Donato as a guy with 20 points in 47 games. And if you punch that in and you math that out over an 82-game season, it's 35 points. Not bad for a guy making $1.9 million.
Well, what's Sorensen got at 1.5?
5 points in 29 games, and if you did that over 82 games, you're looking at 14 points. Again, I agree. In terms of what we wanted, in terms of the skill, Donato's not there. But in terms of the dollars in his bank account, I think he's right where he needs to be.
Well, and how many games has Sorensen played?
29. No, Yes, 29.
29, and we're at 47. So basically, he's missed
game 47. Yeah.
Yeah, he's missed like almost half the season, right? And I know he missed some because of the Rona, But
But it was a false positive, so he wasn't actually sick.
either way, though, it's like that's a lot of healthy scratches. Anyway, so there we go. Let's move on to the next one, which is Jerk's goal value module has been created.
I don't know why you're giving me credit for this. This was your idea.
It was my idea, but you brought it to fruition.
Sure.
And I love it.
Basically, what it is all the time, and the three of us, we've debated, well, okay, and we always make the argument, well, AJ does, oh, Milan Mahalik had 29 goals this year. Well, how many of them were empty nets? How many of them were in garbage time? How many of them were whatever? And then AJ will say, well, Jeremy Roenick's first year with the Sharks, he had 13 goals. 10 of them were game-winning goals. That's a high-value goal. And so, the hamster wheel started spinning, and it was like, okay, well, how do you determine goal value? And so with that, we have created the goal value module where your goal is either a low-value goal, so garbage goals, empty net, goals that don't really matter.
A goal that is 5 minutes left and you're either up or down by 5.
Yeah, literally, if the goal was not scored, the outcome of the game does not change.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have mid-value goals. Maybe it brings you within 1. Maybe it brings you closer, just throughout the normal goals throughout the course of the game. Then you have high-value goals. You open the scoring, you tie the game, you get a game-winning goal. Those are high-value goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna use your medicine against you here. You're being a Ryan Donato hater, but did you know that 5 of his 6 goals this year are high-value goals?
There you go.
So maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, I'm saying it. It's an analytic that I think you can be of value. And then who has the most high-value goals this season?
That would be let's see. Most high-value goals, it's a tie between Tomas Hertl and Kevin Labanc. They both have 7 high-value goals. Even more interesting, Labanc's got 7 high-value goals. He's only got 10 on the year.
So
Makes you think.
Yeah, so
but should he be benched?
I'm gonna go
Catch me on Facebook Live to find out more.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think this is something that we're definitely going to think about going forward. We might have to track this on the Teal Town website just going forward. I think it could be a lot of fun.
Add it to my bio.
There you go. Okay. I have to ask the question. Does anyone else
the Sharks are not making the playoffs.
No, does anyone else have Patrick Marleau fatigue? Like
a little bit.
Yeah. Like, are you tired of hearing about this guy? And the whole thing is it's not his fault. It's everybody else, making all the big deal out of it. But you can tell, like, Chief is tired of talking about this crap, and I think a lot of people were tired of hearing it.
Well, if the team were any good, they'd have other positive things to talk about. Unfortunately, poor Patty gets saddled with being the one lone Bethlehem star-sized bright spot of the season.
You're right.
I was going to say Rocket, bang on there. And you know what? The positive out of all of this Marleau talk, it means that the Sharks' most recent happiest memory is not Game 7 against Vegas anymore.
We don't have to keep hanging our hat on that.
Okay, here's the thing. I love that game as much as the next person. I was there. I lived it. But if your happiest moment is 2 years ago, what does that say about how things are?
Yeah.
And the same thing with Patrick Marleau. Like, Patrick Marleau joined the Sharks more or less around the time that I became a fan. You could argue that my life and Patrick Marleau's career have progressed at a commensurate rate. But even I'm kind of like, dude, let the poor guy play hockey. If you were watching the game against Minnesota, the Sharks are losing poorly. And Randy Hahn is saying, oh, be sure to stick around. We're going to talk to Patrick Marleau about the record. He's got a message for the fans. And my whole thing is, why?
Have we not already heard this? No, it's a great point that, yeah, you need something positive, because up until the Marleau thing, like, what was the biggest positive we had on this season? Like that,
Dude, the biggest positive was the Vegas comeback 2 years ago.
Dude, no, but that's what I'm saying is up
For
until the
this
Marleau thing, the biggest positive for this season was a member of the coaching staff finally getting from Canada to the U.S. Like, how long did that take?
Oh yeah, God, that took like 4 months. Didn't it?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, he's finally here, and we're like, he still works here. Like, we all okay, whatever.
Who?
Yeah. So I don't know how you don't sell the patch that was on the 12 patch that everybody wanted, but fine, whatever. So look, does Marleau get into the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
No.
First ballot?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Because, okay, haters will say, oh, he has the games played record. That's what haters will say. But here's the thing. It's the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame, and Chiefs got 2 Olympic gold medals.
Oh,
Great point. Because a lot of people point to, like no individual awards, never challenged. I think like the highest he ever, or the closest he ever got to winning an individual award was, I want to say sometime in the early 2000s, he almost got a Lady Bing. I think he was like second in voting.
Yeah, he
I
was
could
in, 2000. Okay, so 6th in Calder voting back in 98, 3rd in Lady Bing voting back in 06, 4th in Bing voting in 09. Wow. 6th in Bing the following year, 4th in Bing in 2011. So in the Bing conversation for a while, but got a couple of top 10 Selke votes in that time as well. Got a top 10 Hart vote as well. Man, somebody must have really loved him that year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Was that the year that he had like 82 points or something?
Yeah, he got 83 points in 82 games. Ninth place in Hart voting.
Does Marleau get a bang before the end of his career?
Probably not. I don't think he plays enough minutes to qualify, or not to qualify, but to even be in the conversation. But he's got the games played record, 2 Olympic gold medals. He's gone to the All-Star game, I believe 3 times in his career, potentially 4, and in the conversation for the Lady Bing for a while. So it's not a Joe Thornton career, but it's a Hall of Fame worthy career. I would say, if you ask me what the definition of Hall of Fame is and then apply that to Patrick Marleau, I would say no, probably not. But based on the precedent that's been set with previous Hall of Famers, I say there's no way he's not there.
Well, Marty T in the chat bringing something at you said, but if it's not the NHL Hall of Fame, you can open up arguments at Howe's tenure in the WHA.
Correct, but you're absolutely right, but I don't know what where are you going with that? Give me a follow-up.
Well, because you said it's the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame.
That is correct.
So there's in Howe's games played then doesn't count the WHA.
Yeah, because the record is NHL games played. It's not hockey games played.
Okay then. See? Marty, question asked and answered.
No, and yeah. I hope I didn't sound like a dick there because I wasn't trying to be. But.
Okay, Mr. Burns. So look, there was some great videos, great messages. You saw members of the San Francisco Giants, the A's, other hockey players. But I think we can all agree that the video that meant everything to everybody came out of Toronto.
Hey Patty, just want to congratulate you on an amazing milestone and accomplishment. I know myself and Mitchie, it was a huge honor and a privilege to get to know you and play with you for 2 years and build an amazing friendship.
We want to thank you for letting us, Joe. He's been a constant pro with us the whole time as well, another father figure. I want to congratulate you on this awesome accomplishment and have fun with your family, pal.
How much fun did they have doing that?
He just never has clothes on. I honestly think he's a nudist.
Oh, absolutely.
My takeaway from that, it's a video for Marleau. Yes, it's Maple Leafs guys, but it's for Marleau. It's for the Sharks. You know what I mean? And I was kind of getting a kick how if you go on Twitter, we always say how does this get us? back to the Maple Leafs. How does this affect the Leafs? And you saw so many Maple Leafs fans say, "Look how funny our team is," and it's like it's not about you.
But everything is about the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
You looked at all the videos, like a lot of course, former players that he, whether it was Mark Smith or Setaguchi, Dan Boyle, I think Tony Granato was in there. I mean, it was a long line of people. Mysteriously absent, Jeremy Roenick. I wonder why.
Jeremy Roenick threw out a tweet.
Was it a gutless tweet or?
Well, no, he posted that graphic. The one where it's like Howe and Marleau, like animated, standing next to each other, and it's got the banner and all this stuff. It says, "Pretty incredible accomplishment." # Patrick Marleau. Of course, everybody
piled on,
flambang him in the replies. Would you say it takes guts to play that many games?
Oh,
you had to know. You had to know. He would have been better off just not saying anything.
Yep.
Although I think you could describe that for most of Jeremy Roenick's career.
True. Very true.
Yeah, well, it's like, and here's the thing, Jeremy Roenick can, he can say that they patched it up and moved on all he wants. But here's the thing, and I don't know if any of you have read Jeremy Roenick's book. There's a chapter, or at least parts of a chapter in his book about how much he doesn't like Marleau. I mean, maybe there's more to it. I haven't actually read the book, but I'm pretty certain he spends a decent amount of time talking about his issues with him.
Man. Well, hey, you know what? I'd rather have that, though, than just hearing the same cliche bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Say what you want about Jeremy Roenick. At least he gave you his honest opinion.
Yeah, like, you can't fault him for that. Like, you might disagree with what it is, but at least he's being honest. Instead of the same BS over and over.
Yeah, honest about his desires for a threesome, too. Look where that got him.
Yeah.
Ew.
Bye-bye. So.
Boing.
Wing. Bounce.
So, big news dropped earlier today, and I thought we'd... Huh?
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
No, it's pretty big fucking news, dude. Look, I'm gonna put this on the scroll. So for those of you watching, if you're listening to the show, this what is going to be in the scroll here will be in the show notes below, whatever podcast platform you're listening to. But look, the Downtown West project that Google is putting together, it's scheduled for a review by the City of San Jose's Planning Commission this Wednesday. But to voice your concerns about the future of SAP Center and the Sharks with this planning commission, you have to email planning support staff at sanjoseca.gov no later than noon this coming Wednesday, April 28th. Now, you can also share your concerns with the elected members of the City Council by emailing city.clerk@sanjoseca.gov. Now, I'm going to keep that scroll going up there for anybody who wants to, pull down those email addresses. But the gist of it that was, it was a rather long email that was fashioned today, but the gist of it is basically how the city is moving along with Google, and SAP Center and the Sharks they're not even being considered. And it sounds as if there's a lot of assumptions being made that this is just going to happen. Now, the Sharks have said over and over they're concerned about the impact of multiple projects surrounding SAP all happening concurrently, which would obviously have an issue on people trying to get in and out of events there, not to mention how it would decimate parking, just making it severely difficult to get there. And another option that was part of this development is changing Santa Clara Street. For those of you who don't know, is kind of like the primary thoroughfare getting in and out of that area. Right now it's 2 lanes in each direction. They're talking about making it 1 lane in each direction. So gridlock. And part of this development, and this is the weird thing that never gets mentioned in any of the stories, the Sharks control lots A, B, and C. That's the A lot is the one across Santa Clara Street that usually that's where season ticket holders park. and then what is called B and C, that's the big concrete parking on the north side that's attached to the building. The Sharks have to sign off on that to give control of that over to Google and to be able to develop on that. They can say, no, fuck you, because they want something either equal or better than what they already have. And right now, there's nothing. And so at this point, it sounds like the Sharks are like, no, you can go fuck yourselves, because you're not trying to work with us. We're like, bullet point 27 out of your concerns on how to make this work.
Well, and if you look back to prior emails too, the operating position was always, we haven't been consulted, but we're ready. We want to step in. We want to be at the table. And the email that came out this afternoon was very much like, more or less saying we've changed our stance to being firm. And if you want it, come take it.
Yeah, because the city is, and it sounds like it's more the city than anything. But the city's just kind of like, no, man, we want that Google money up in here, and we don't give a shit what it does to the SAP Center and all the people that events there attract. We want that Google coin.
I mean, there's so many layers to it. You know what I mean? Like maybe Google gives you more money up front, maybe, but the San Jose Sharks Sports and Entertainment, who runs the Sharks, the Barracuda, the Tank, Sharks Ice, all of these different properties, they'll bring you less money up front, but more money long term, guaranteed coin every year. And that's just for hockey games. We're not talking about concerts. We're not talking about, mixed martial arts, wrestling, boxing shows, motocross, monster trucks, all the bullshit they run through there. Like, there's so much money.
Tony Robbins. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Even the stuff that nobody cares about is making money for somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me. But not only that, but like, and here's the thing, I obviously don't live in San Jose anymore. But if I see somebody wearing Sharks paraphernalia, I'm gonna look at them and be like, "Hey, Sharks," or "Hey, San Jose." If I see somebody wearing a Google shirt, I will literally roll my eyes. And that's not me being ridiculous either. I've literally rolled my eyes when I've seen that. So, money is everything. But, dude, like, building a brand that brings the people of your city together, something where you see a Sharks logo and you say San Jose, California. And so it's just crazy to me from the perspective of making money and citizen engagement, if you will, but also the fact that there are some, from what I understand, some pretty ironclad deals that are sort of being threatened through this whole thing, as you mentioned, AJ, with the parking lots that are adjacent to the SAP Center. So it's just a lot of garbage, you know what I mean? And as an aside too, you're talking about Santa Clara Street potentially being smaller. Look, I'm somebody who's very much in favor for buses and bikes and scooters and walking. I love all that stuff's great. But if you want to base your society around that, you need to improve the infrastructure that will allow it. Making the road smaller and trying to fit cars and the 22 bus, bikes, scooters, walking, a Googleplex, the Tank. Like AJ said, gridlock. There's not going to be room for everybody.
Yeah. Well, if the vast majority of the season ticket holder for the Sharks, I don't know, if they all lived within 5 square miles of the Tank, then sure. But that's not the case. In fact, the way I understand it, 2% of their season ticket holder base is within a 5-mile radius. And, for the people that say, I don't know, live in Saratoga, Los Gatos, Los Altos, along that 280 corridor, or Santa Cruz, I'm sorry, public transit, not an option.
Well, and that's the thing. I guarantee you, dude, I would bet 2/3 of the Sharks season ticket holders, not everybody, just season ticket holders, I guarantee you 2/3 of them live, 25 minutes away from the Tank, minimum. Like, Puck guy lives in Concord, and that dude, finds enough reasons to go down to San Jose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
a friend of mine lived in San Francisco and used to take the train.
That's what I'm saying. Our friend of the show, Jessica, she's a season ticket holder. She lives in Gilroy. You think she's jumping on the bus at 10 o'clock at night? No chance.
Right. Well, friend of the show, Shalana Goldman, has taken the train to and fro San Francisco. But she has to bail early if she wants to catch that train before it bails. Again, that's another thing where it's we want people to take public transit. Okay, can you run a train like at 11:30? No, we can't do that.
Well, and
then don't bitch.
And here's the other thing is, I've been known to take the and you know what? Put it on the cards. I've been known to take the 73 VTA bus to and from Sharks games, but I also lived by Happy Hollow. And if you're not familiar with the VTA bus routes, the 73 bus will take you from Happy Hollow to First and Santa Clara, at which point you are 9 minutes away from the tank by walking. Mm-hmm. So public transportation worked for me because it was one bus and it was very easy. But as you said, Shalana, who lives in San Francisco or comes from San Francisco, Jessica in Gilroy, Puck Guy in Concord. I know people who live in Redwood City. I know people who live in Santa Cruz. Like you said, AJ, I know people who live in fucking Truckee. Okay? Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're not jumping on a Greyhound bus to go to a Sharks game. No chance, Lance. So,
the bottom line is that people are going to drive to games. They have to.
Yeah.
And then it's also a case of, as well, look, what is it? Or what about, like, hey, I'm going to work, but I can't leave work, get home, and then turn around, get on public transit to go to a game. It's like, no, I'm going to go from work, and then I'm going to go, I don't know, have a beer at what's the beer garden that I like going to on the second story over there by the
Whole Foods?
Yeah, Whole Foods. Forget the name of the beer garden there, but look, I'm going to go there right after work, have a little beer at Whole Foods, or I'm going to pick up something at San Pedro. Either way, it's I work near the tank, but I live way over here. So, yeah, I have to take a car, for those people on the midweek games. It's just, I don't know. The San Jose, the city, it seems like they're just being blinded by the Google coin. And I just, I don't understand why. The other thing that kind of gets me is I'm surprised that the people from like Flats or San Pedro Market Square, all those types of businesses, the ones that really feel that impact every time there's an event, how they're not sitting there going, hey, F you. Now, granted, some of them might be saying, we'll get people from Google, so it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, and you know what I'll say as an aside, too? And now Rocket and I, we both, I'm not going to say anything, don't worry, but we both know where AJ lives. I would pay money to see you lime scooter from your house to the tank.
Oh
dude.
My God.
If we're talking like it's 80 degrees out, I'm going to make it happen, Captain.
I would dude, you jump, because
I already know the route.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. The tank to your house on a lime scooter, I would say 20 minutes. Maybe 25.
Could be roadkill. That's dangerous.
I think it'd be about 5 miles.
Dude, I lime scootered. I'll tell you this right now. I lime scootered from Coleman Shopping Center to the plant, so it's doable.
Oh, you know what, Chris? Our buddy Chris, very familiar with the area, and he's on here on the chat. Says, look, if you live in San Jose, public transit is a 50-50 as an option. Like if you live in San Jose, it's it's 50-50.
Yep. And
hold on.
That's...
Hold on. Let me finish with him. So born and raised in San Jose, transit from my parents to the tank is 90 minutes.
Yikes.
Are you kidding me?
And that's the thing. It is 50-50 because like I said, for me, public transit, I was the 50% that it worked for. Dude, my house to the tank on the VTA bus, like 25 minutes. Easy, Mm-hmm. But I know some people who live at the end of Almaden Expressway and are a Sharks fan. You think they're jumping on a bus to go to the tank? No way.
No. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Who's this? Maple Leafs Media. Thanks for letting us borrow Jumbo. We already played the video, damn it. but
but again,
on behalf
look how
of
funny their team. Look how funny their team is.
yeah, but on behalf
Oh
of
my
everybody
God.
in San Jose, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You
Chris pointing out 250 days of lunch, the lunchtime business, preferable to 41 nights a year. Yes, I understand that, and I agree with you, but it's more than 41 nights a year.
I was going to say it's not 41 nights because you have preseason, postseason, non-hockey events.
Playoffs.
Well, playoffs.
I know. So, like,
But also, think like how many people did they say are going to work for Google? Más o menos, like 10,000, maybe more. I don't know what the numbers are, but I think at the very least it would even out because these events would have more people, and you think about it, what's going to bring you more money if you have, you've got, Joe businessman who goes to buy a Togo sandwich, or, Joe from the bridge who's 30 Miller Lights deep after a Sharks game. You know what I'm saying?
Look, the point of the whole thing, like you can sit here and debate like what is more of a financial impact, but the bottom line is like, look, you guys need to work together on this, like include the Sharks because this is stupid. Look, let's move on. It was too much. All right, so for around the NHL, yeah, there wasn't a lot, with the exception of Robin Lehner just lighting up the NHL with comments about COVID restrictions not loosening up, and then kind of walked back the comments the next day after Bill Daley was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But that seemed to set off a lot of people. Everybody's tired of COVID.
I don't know. I still think he kind of makes a fair point because, it's like, from what I understand, the NHL protocols are basically as strict as like March and April 2020 lockdown. And, COVID is out there and it's always lurking. But like, if I'm going to the grocery store or if I'm going to work and I have my mask, I feel relatively safe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't feel totally like plastic bubble, but I don't feel like I'm totally in danger either.
They said they've had something like 900 reported cases of the flu, and usually they have 250,000 or something like that. So, like, because everybody's wearing masks, nobody's getting sick, like the flu. So it's almost safer now than it was before because
Absolutely.
we're all wearing masks.
Well, anyway, that's the only thing that was worth talking about from around the NHL this week. It was a boring
that's
week.
True. Very.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought was kind of, I don't know, maybe interesting, more for the laugh. If you're listening live, Mika Zibanejad had a hat trick tonight, and it wasn't against the Philadelphia Flyers. So, I don't know. That's kind of funny. As for those who don't know, he famously torched the Flyers about a month or two back.
As you tend to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Aside from the Lehner thing, I just feel like everything was very pedestrian. You know what I mean? Like everything happened the way it was supposed to. Like nothing really exciting happened.
You know what?
Yep.
Speaking of pedestrian.
Ooh, Barracuda.
It doesn't get much more pedestrian than the minor league boys. It was a bad week for the CUDA, too. You thought the Sharks were bad. Yeah, bad week for the CUDA as well. 2 games against the San Diego Gulls, lost both by a combined score of 11-3. Yay.
Nice.
Goals coming from Bergman, Blichfeld, obviously before being called up, and Alex True. Right now in the month of April, the CUDA are playing 500 hockey. So far, 5 wins, 5 losses, and a shootout loss. So, currently the CUDA have a record of 12, 11, 4, and 2, sitting 5th in the AHL's Pacific. Blichfeld continues to lead the team in goals with 12 and points with 22. And similar to the Sharks, the Barracuda have 8 games left, and half of their games are against the division-leading Henderson Silver Knights. So good luck, San Jose. I think what we're all kind of recognizing is there's not going to be a lot of hockey in San Jose after May 12th. I think we can pretty much start opening up your calendar.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our tweet of the week. You love to see it. Oh, the tweet of the week. And this comes to us from local broadcaster for 95.7 The Game, Damon Bruce, who earlier today tweeted out, "Can the Bay go 4 for 4 today?" No, they can't, because the Sharks don't play today. And this, again, just kaboom, another example of how local sports talk radio doesn't give two shits about the Sharks.
So let me ask you this then, AJ. What you're saying is somebody that professes to be a voice about Bay Area sports should be informed about all Bay Area sports?
Dude, call me crazy, but yes.
We'll have to get back to you on that.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the dude can name everybody on the Chicago Blackhawks roster because he's from that neck of the woods.
Oh, good for him.
But this is a guy who every time the Sharks lost the playoffs, he just automatically blamed it on Marleau or Thornton.
Oh, the uninformed fan.
Yeah.
Those are my people, evidently.
But yes, Damon Bruce, you are our tweet of the week for that one, bro. I mean, you literally get paid to talk about Bay Area sports, and you can't even be bothered to read a damn calendar. Come on, you're better than that, dude. You're better than that. For Christ's sakes. You're buddy with Ted Ramey. He knows. So, let's wrap it up, guys. You can follow her at rbackhander76. You can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow me at AJ_strong. And if you have any questions or topics you want to hear us bandy about, or just questions in general, if you'd like to know how much better a Coke is than Pepsi, you can hit up Hockey Jerk. He will let you know all about it. If you want to know about what Sephora, I don't know, some sort of beauty tip, makeup secrets, Rocket will let you know what it is to wear teal lipstick, so you can hit her up.
Yep, that's true.
So, Rocket, famous last words.
Confucius says life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. 52-game preseason, kids.
56.
56. The last 4 is just going to drop off. They're not going to matter. Maybe that's the last 4 will actually count.
Oh, no shit. Hockey Jerk.
Connor McDavid.
Oh, Christ.
That guy. He has 77 points in 45 games. He's on pace for 96 points. And no, kids, that is not in an 82-game season. That is in a 56-game season.
Have they already shipped the Hart to his house?
96 points in 56 games. I'm kind of hoping he sees that and he says, "Okay, watch this," and he ups the pace to 100 points in a 56-game season. Because that would be incredible theater. But you make a solid point, AJ. McDavid, 77 points. Leon Draisaitl, 64 points. Third on the Oilers, Tyson Barrie, 38 points.
Sheesh.
Who is bringing home the gravy for Edmonton? I think it's pretty obvious.
Now let me ask you this: is Edmonton in a playoff spot right now?
Yes, they've been kind of jumping rope with second and third in the Canadian division with the Winnipeg Jets. They're currently third in the division pretty comfortably. They're 7 points ahead of Montreal.
I'm going to be real interested because how long's Connor been in the league now? Is this like his sixth season?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
sixth.
This is his 6th year.
Yep.
And I'll say this. Lastly, while we're on the subject, when McDavid signed his big ticket extension a few years back, and I said for Connor McDavid to be worth this contract, he needs to score 100 points a season. And here's the thing. In the 4 seasons since he signed the contract, he's either scored 100+ points or been on pace to score 100+ points and then didn't finish the season. So
how's Erik Karlsson during that same stretch?
I was going to say McDavid has taken my foot and jammed it right into my mouth.
Damn.
Meanwhile, still no word on if Erik Karlsson will hit 20 points this year. He's sitting at 18, but it's really anybody's guess.
Jesus. Finally, from the chat, I can't remember another 8-game losing streak in franchise history. Oh yeah.
Oh,
I can.
Shang. Okay, everybody, put your hands down. We'll call on you in a moment. No, Shang actually listed it earlier today, but I think this is their 8th time that they've done this. I mean, the one that is, of course, the most famous is when they dropped 10 in a row in 05, and then halfway through the game, it was announced that they had just acquired Joe Thornton.
It's the second losing streak of 8 or more games this century. And we're 21 years in.
And only the
they
second
lost,
time.
Yeah, eight losses in a row in 2021, 10 in a row in 2005. To go any earlier than that, as Shang pointed out, 97, I think, 96.
Well, the whole thing is, it's like, dude, THC, I don't mean to beat up on you, but it's like, I can't remember another, 8-game loss in the franchise history. You clearly did not watch the second season of Sharks hockey. Like, didn't they win like 12 games the entire season?
I think, was it 17 in a row or 13 in a row that they lost?
I think it was 7. Yeah, well, and Shang qualified in his tweet that those 8-game losing streaks didn't include the first 2 years. They didn't include the first 2 years when they were astronomically bad.
Wait, in 15-16, wasn't there a time when they lost like 9 or 10 in a row?
No.
Not in 15,
I know what
16.
you're talking about, though. They lost like 5 in a row or something, and then they went on a road trip and won all the road games. I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So famous last words from me. Of course, it's coming. That washed-up has-been loser of a player, Joe Pavelski, only has 20 goals, 43 points, and right now is a plus 20. Oh, what a has-been. Washed up.
You know what? When we're on Discord here after the podcast, I'm gonna look up the goal value for all 20 of his goals.
You know what? I think when it comes to the threes, the highest ones, I think out of those 20, I think you might only find like 7, but still pretty significant.
Sure.
I would say probably close to half. Because like half of his points came on the power play. I think at the very least those should be ranked 2.
If this was an 82-game season, he would be on pace for 30.
This is gonna hurt.
35 goals and 40 assists, which puts him at 75 points, his best pace since 2015-16.
Well,
wow.
and if you look at his history, doesn't Pavelski, didn't he have a nice run there of over 30 goals every season?
Yeah, he put up he constantly flirted with 20, and then he got 30 the one year, and then only 16, but it was a shortened season, and then 41, 37, 38, and then 29 and 22, which if that's a bad year,
sign me up, right?
Yeah, and then back to 38, his final year with the Sharks.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, good way to... And
he might be good.
Yeah, might be good. THC saying half of his goals are probably empty netters. I will guarantee you they are, in fact, not.
That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find that out. I don't think, if memory serves, I don't even know that Pavelski has an empty netter this season. But it is what it is. Thanks for riding along with us tonight. This has been a horrible 2 weeks of hockey. We try to be here to provide a little humor, a little entertainment, a little therapy for you. So thanks for riding with us. A couple more of these. There's only 9 more games left. That's the silver lining. There's only 9 more of these you got to watch and sit through. So subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would, please. Whatever podcast app you use, we would very much appreciate that. You can find everything on tealtownusa.com, and if you ever miss a show, you can always catch it on those platforms, on the website, and at YouTube on this channel. So hit that subscribe button. Remember to check out After Dark postgame following every single Sharks game. And that's our show. Thanks for watching or listening. We will see you next week for episode 131. And hey, let me leave you with this. Can it really get any worse? It's like, watch me tempt fate.